technical difficulties, but today I'm going to be talking about how the scarcity mindset can affect your health. And I can talk so much about this because I really felt in my body that my scarcity mindset, which I didn't even know that I had, was affecting my health. Now, if you don't know about my story, I was diagnosed with stage 3 bowel cancer in 2018, and the cancer was very much, in the bowel, which is the organ that has the ability to let go of our shit, and it's where our root chakra is, which is where we hold our sense of security, of feeling supported by life, by the universe, by God, by your parents when you were when you were a baby. So there is lots of different things that started coming up that really highlighted to me that some of my habits were impacting my health. So yes, it was about letting go, which I did, letting go of resentment and anger and things that I had been holding on to. But it was also about feeling safe and secure, which I didn't feel. And again, I did not realize that this is how I had been living. Now, if I go back to my childhood, my dad had his own business in Brazil and he was very successful. We had everything until I was about 15. And his business was with his family, and the business, they had a fallout and was a massive issue, and there was a court fight and disagreement that went for years and years. So I went from having everything to having nothing. So there was a massive trauma in my life. But saying that, I remember when we had everything, it was very problematic. It was, there was a lot of issues around, people being jealous about, what we had, us not being able to share with my dad's family, what we had bought or what we had done with the money. So it was a very weird way to live. Although we had everything, we couldn't enjoy it. And it almost like we were made to feel guilty about it, even though my dad worked so hard. So I kind of grew up thinking, when you have everything, it's a problem. And when you don't have everything, it's also a problem. And that's when the belief of money is complicated really came into place, because I never saw us as a family being happy when we had everything. And I never saw us happy as when we didn't have everything. So as I grew up, I left Brazil when I was 21 and I didn't have much money, but I started making my money and creating my life. And I never had anybody to fall back on, but I kept holding on and being really tight with my money, being really, I wouldn't spend my money, and I would be, I was always a very good saver and very conscientious about the money. But there was, if there was a balance in it, there wasn't a balance because I was too much the other way. And that's when you think about how that was affecting my health, I was holding on to the money, thinking like, oh my God, like, what if I lose? What if I go through what my family went through, whatever. So because I did that, and I live in constant like flight or fight and stress around holding on to this thing, I put too much emphasis on it, too much importance in it, and the balance was completely the other way. And that made me stressed about money all the time. That it made me fearful of losing money. So if you think about money as anything, like it's something that you have a relationship with, let's talk about, a person. You wouldn't want to be fearful of the relationship. You wouldn't want to be scared of the relationship. You wouldn't want to adore that person. You want a balance. You want people to love you in the same ways you love them. You want people to respect you in the same way as you respect them. You want you want to have, you want to be on the same page. You want to be at the same level. You don't want, a balance like that. And I really started realizing that my relationship with money was not only not a good one, but was actually something that was, one, creating a lot of stress in my life, and which wasn't benefiting me, because part of my cancer was this addiction that I had with stress, and I needed to let go of that. And it's something that I needed to work through it, because I could be drinking all the green juices and the eating a plant-based diet and exercising every day and meditating, but if all I did was spend all my life stressed about money, that wasn't going to be helpful. And the way that I did that was, at the beginning of my treatment, I couldn't really handle anything other than looking after myself, which was a blessing. And I went straight into it. And all of a sudden, I stopped worrying about money. I never looked at my bank account. I never looked at bills. And I know my husband, I had my husband to look after all of those things, but I just stopped. I just like went completely like, I can't worry about this right now. And that was a massive change from being that person who was constantly looking at my bank account and, bills and worried and things like that. And again, it's not that we didn't have enough money to pay our bills, because we have always had it. But I had this habit, this addiction of worrying about something. And this something was money. So as I went through my whole treatment, and I never looked at my bank account, and I went back to work, and I started, living the normal life again. And I started having to look at, looking at paying bills and, being back to being responsible of the things that I used to do. I realized that money is still created a lot of stress in my life. And I went back to my corporate job, and, which I felt safe and secure by having a job, because I was taught by my parents, when you have a job in a good company, you're safe. So this is what you're striving for. So I did that for 38 years. And as I went back to my old corporate job, I realized that, it didn't fulfill me anymore. Even though I had a career in recruitment and I love what I did, I couldn't find myself again. And I had this feeling that I wanted to start my business, but I came across big time my money beliefs, the scarcity mindset. How do I go about this? What do I do? Do I just go from, having this secure and safe job to having nothing, to having zero clients, no income? How do I do that? Do I go from not earning any money to investing on myself? How do I do that? And that's when I realized that, I had done all my physical healing. I was eating very well. I had changed all my diet. I was exercising. I was meditating. I was doing all of the physical things that I needed to do. My body was like working really well. I had gained my strength, and I didn't have any problems with my physical health. I had worked through the forgiveness, the addiction to anger, and all of this stuff that I need to let go. But then I realized this is the next step of my healing, and it's this scarcity mindset. If I don't heal this is going to keep haunting me, and this is going to keep me in that stress mode, that flight and fight, and I'm always going to be coming across this. I need to heal this once and for all. So once I realized that was, the next step of my healing, I realized that I needed to do something about what my work life. Life was not only too short, especially when you go through something like I did, but I needed to do what I wanted to do, it brought me joy, what it really lighted my soul and my heart, and I needed to leave that job. And that decision was one of the hardest decisions I've made. And it took me a year to make that decision, from treatment to going back to work and spending a year trying to think about, how am I going to do this? And as I left my corporate job, I went all in into my business. I didn't have any clients. And the next thing, the hurdle that I had to come across was I need to invest on myself so I can understand things that I don't, and that I've been trying to pretend that I do, but I don't. And I need to do this, even though I'm still not making any money. So I spent like 6 months going from one free thing to another and not making any money, not knowing what I was doing because I was not even on social media. And it was frustrating. And I really wanted to make my business work, but I didn't want to invest any money on it because I wasn't earning any money. And I realized this is still part of my scarcity mindset. I was still going around in circles feeling and being that I wasn't supported, that I wasn't worthy, of receiving, wealth and abundance, and I wasn't worthy of people paying me money for what I knew. There were so many things involved in it. But I really believe that everything that we do is a habit, and a scarcity mindset is a habit, and I needed to break the habit. And you only break a habit if you replace the habit with something else. And replacing the habit was once for me letting go of the security. So, every day having to deal with, yeah, I've left that job. I have no longer, I don't have that safety anymore. Okay. So you need to live with that and create the certainty that you will make this work. And once I did that, the next bit of my healing was, now you need to invest in yourself and still trust, and you still believe that you're going to receive a ton back, that you are supported by life and by God and the universe, that you're worthy, that you don't have to worry about money. And as I started this journey, I'm not going to lie, it was hard because I was going against beliefs that I had been cultivating and practicing for 38 years. And I remember, that first time that I invested on myself was like a $2,000, which was a lot of money at the time for me. And I invested on myself and I started getting momentum, started getting paying clients. And then I started investing some more and I started getting more clients. And, and before I knew, the practice of not living and being in that place of, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough money. Oh my God, I'm not going to get another client. Oh my God, what's going to happen, if I don't get another client, living in that flight and fight mode, it was slowly, literally, that feeling was coming out of my body and I was no longer living in that place. I was no longer feeling like that. And I think that's something that it takes practice. It's a step-by-step process, but it's like anything. It's like, how can I start eating healthily? If you go on a strict diet from 0 to 100, most likely you're going to fail. But if you start slowly moving towards letting go of your scarcity mindset, like acknowledging I do have a scarcity mindset. I don't spend any money on myself. I want to know that there is some safety and security that is going to come back to me. Once you start realizing that, I am living in flight and fight. This is affecting my health. Then you can start, okay, well, from that place, what's the next step, that I can go to, that it can be helpful to move me towards moving away from this scarcity mindset. And then once you move on to that, you realize, well, actually, what I believe is going to be important for me is, I need to invest on myself, or I need to, place for something nice for me. It doesn't have to cost $1 million. I didn't even used to go and get myself a coffee. I didn't even used to do that. And I had plenty of money to do that. I was very, very conscientious about money. So, in the weekend, I went and I got myself some clothes. And, I remember for the first time, in years and years, it was quite a lot of money and I paid and I just didn't even think about it. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't think am I worthy? Is the money going to come back to me, or what is this? I didn't even think about it because I have been practicing this in small steps. I have invested a ton of myself. I've practiced, And I'm not just talking about coaches and courses, and I'm talking about things like, treatments and massages and things that I've done it for me because I am worthy, because I deserve it. But I want you to really think that living in the place that you're not supported, that you are scared and fearful, that you're not going to have enough, that puts an enormous amount of pressure on your physical body. And you might find that you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, Angelica, but I don't have enough, I don't have a lot of things. So that's when you go back to really focusing on what you're grateful for. And gratitude, it is also a practice. Back when I was, before my diagnosis, I didn't know how to be grateful, and I had many things to be grateful for. But as I, during my treatment, I really learned, the gift of being truly grateful. And I held on to this, and I have developed this beautiful practice of really feeling and being grateful these days, that I can just call it like that on my feeling in my body. But I have been practicing this. All of us have things that are going on in our lives that are not perfect or far from ideal sometimes. But all of us also have one thing or two things that we can be incredibly grateful for. And it might be hard to see at first, but once you start thinking and practicing and feeling in your body, realize that, wow, I can really be grateful for this. During my treatment, cancer was like, wow, I can go to the park with my kids. I have the energy to do that. I was very grateful for that. I was very grateful for small things. And as I started practicing this, I'm grateful for my body to heal from one chemo session to another. I started being incredibly grateful for everything. And I learned how to be truly grateful, which was very helpful when I started going down the path into healing my scarcity mindset. Because once my mind took me to the place of, you're not safe, you're not secure, you're not supported, I would go back to that gratitude feeling, and I'll feel, and I will know it. What do you mean I'm not safe? I'm not, supported. Look at what I have been through. I have been supported, in my case, I believe in God, by God, always, every single day, every single minute of it. I feel so grateful for my journey. So as I started, it's that balance of feeling grateful for what you have, and also cultivating and practicing that feeling that you are supported, and that certainty that you don't have to live in that place of fear and flight or fight and feeling like that all the time, which is very, very harmful for your physical health. I really hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. But I really believe that when you were on this journey of healing, you can't just do your physical body. You have to look at yourself as a whole. And scarcity mindset has been a very, very big part of my healing process. I knew by the time I went back to work and I realized that that wasn't fulfilling anymore, that it was very important for me to heal my scarcity mindset, and that God and the universe wanted me to heal that once and for all. And I took that challenge head on, and I started putting steps in place so I could heal that, and I did. So take the emotional part and your whole self as part of your healing, as opposed to focusing just on your physical body. Hopefully this is helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.